we're going to move on. We're talking about a team who finished their season. They finally got into the 30-win column this year. I don't know where they were at last year, but the Sacramento Kings, they're hoping for much more next season. They made a big trade this year, trading away Tyree Evans for Domantas Sabonis, and they are ready to probably make some more changes in hopes to change their playoff streak over and finally make it in. So what do we think they need to do to get going? Well, first of all, they need a new coach. Who should they hire?
Frank Vogel. I'm not even kidding. Like, that'd be great. Like,
last time they hired a former Laker fire, it didn't work out. But this would be.
He was terrible. He was actually fired for being. Luke Walton's actually fired for being a terrible coach.
Yeah,
and they pulled him in. Yeah, he'd be great. Or Vanderpool from the Trailblazers. I think he's still assistant. I think he is deserving of a job. I think that'd be great. But Steve Clifford. I'll always say Steve Clifford. He's great with defense. He can take teams. If you can build a top 10 defense out of Vucevic and Evan Fournier, I think he could definitely do it with this Kings roster, especially make some moves.
It's just, I think it'll come down, who's going to be willing to take it. I mean, obviously it's an NBA job.
It's in California.
So it's great. It's California. So, someone's going to want it. You throw them a bag. They should get who they want. They should get the top guy. I think Frank Vogel would be great. That would help with their defense a ton.
Oh, yeah. And that's what they need.
Help there. Yeah. Steve Clifford would not be bad. I only worry with him is he doesn't play the young guys as much. And so I worry with, whoever they draft this year, what happens to him. And if Davion Mitchell struggles, does he get benched right away? I worry about that because I don't think the Kings should just be heavily leaning on Harrison Barnes right now or whatever veteran they're going to bring in. Like Sabonis and Fox, those are your guys. I think it's good to have some guys around them too, but I think they got to trade Barnes, get younger.
Yeah, maybe not too younger. I can, if they kept Barnes going into next season, I'd be all right with it. I do think one guy that has to be traded is Rashad Holmes. He can't play next to Sabonis. It just doesn't fit, and he's overpaid as a backup center with $11 million a year. I think he's certainly tradable. I think there's a lot of teams that would love to have Rashad Holmes. So I think that's the first thing you got to do. And certainly you can get anything. You can get any piece back for him, DiVincenzo extension, I think you got to bring him back. He's obviously great. Even though I think Davion Mitchell has, in my eyes, has earned that starting shooting guard spot. I mean, he's at the very least been a lockdown defender, and he's the tail end of the season started hitting his shots, he had that stretch where he's averaging 20 points per game. I think that's not what they need out of him. And I think he won't produce that ever in his career as 20 points a game. But as long as he can be comparable from three, create a little, but mainly defend, I think he's a perfect fit next to De'Aaron Fox.
I agree. I think it's just improving as a shooter is what you're looking for. But, great defender, so that's what you need next to Fox. And you chose to go with Fox, so you need to have a good perimeter defender next to him. And I think it's just getting a solid guy along the wing outside of him. I don't know who at the power or at the small forward or the center position that's going to be better. There's not a lot of good centers out there.
I think they're going to have Sabonis play center going forward. I think that's very much a lock.
So then what do they do at the forward positions?
I assume
get some shooters.
They're projected 7th, and right now on the big boards, they're looking at, it would be most likely that they get a guy like Keegan Murray, who would be fucking great for this team. So I think he would be great. I don't think he would start right away, but he can certainly start as a power forward remember Barnes can play either forward position, so it's really whomever they get that'd be a best fit.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't hate it if they kept Barnes. He's a solid player. If they can fill in the starting lineup with some young guy next to him, that would be fine.
I'm not convinced he's a third option. Is my deal. I think he's a great veteran to have.
I just think they're leaning too heavily on him. That's what it is. Great as a 4th or 5th option, but It's just I don't really believe him as third. Like if you found a way to upgrade into Jeremy Grant, I mean that's like your rich man's Harrison Barnes right there.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. I would love Jeremy Grant because he can be that third scoring option with Sabonis as either first or second or Fox. I don't think they've entitled their roles yet as first or scoring. Usually, if De'Aaron Fox is going to be the main playmaker, usually he'll take the second role. But I think one guy that will be super interesting that I think they should really get is Thaddeus Young. I know I always mention him, but he's proven he can play next to Sabonis. He did it with the Pacers, and they were good then.
That is to be good. I feel like, it'd be nice to get someone better than him, but he's underrated. He is very solid. He just spent all this year playing on the Spurs for no reason. Like a Bojan Bogdanovic, if he ever got available, that'd be great.
That would be great. He would be good. He'd be awesome. Because that's kind of like the ideal fit for Bojan. I think Robert Covington would, especially if they get like a guy like Frank Vogel or Steve Clifford, and they got a Covington he's a good on-ball defender, but he's a great team defender. Very much culture defense type guy. And I think he can come in and really help out all these young players and be like, all right, this is defense, especially with the coach behind him. I think that would be awesome. I think that alone would be such a huge impact if they got a defensive-minded coach, a proven defensive coach like Frank Vogel or Steve Clifford, plus a guy like Covington. I think that instantly
culture changer
them.
Would be, having Covington for that would be big. I don't know like how much of a culture changer he is, like where he stacks up with like the Patrick Beverleys of the world, but you need a guy who's gonna be your vocal leader in the locker room, because like you can't just rely on coaches. It's not enough. You saw the difference that was made when Chris Paul went to Phoenix. Yeah, sure, he's a great player, but he's a great coach too. And like players just receive the information way differently from a peer than they would a mentor. We do that in all parts of life. So it's just how it goes. You take it differently. You understand some different things, maybe take some moves from them, and you grow together. So I think the Kings definitely at like a Thaddeus Young, I feel like would be closer to a culture changer. But I mean, who else is out there that can really change like the mentality of this team? Because that's what they need.
Mentality wise, there's not a lot of, there's not a lot of like open players that they can afford, so they can get like a high mid-level exception is what I'm looking at. So it's like 6 to 10,000.
Hell, they should just even get like one of the Morris brothers.
Yeah, might as well. Fuck it, go for one of them.
I did mention some of the bullies.
Yeah, I did say it's nice to get some shooters at the very end of it. If you can get a guy like Joe Ingles or Jeremy Lamb, pull them in. They're only going to help your team. Yeah,
Jeremy Lamb would be good.
Not as a starter. Joe Ingles.
I saw Tyree Evans is back. They could sign him. Bring him back.
Yeah, he won the rookie of the year with them.
He's back. He's like, all right, I am off the drugs now. If you remember when he got banned from the league, it was like, oh yeah, he tested positive for like every drug of all time.
Yeah, he was killing it with the Pelicans too when he came out. Like he was averaging a decent amount. I think it was like 16 or 18. Like he was helping out the Pelicans at that time. Because it was Drew and him with the backcourt with Anthony Davis.
He's a solid player. It's just like, oh damn, he was like just hopped up on drugs most nights.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
But gotta cope, I guess. But hey, we're happy to have him back in the league, and maybe the Kings should give him a shot.
Yeah. My last guy I put down that's interesting. This is more or less assuming they go out and get a few defensive wings or some more pieces like that. Is I think to really help out their bench scoring, I think throw a contract at Dennis Schroeder. I think he would be able to run the offense when they're off. He would fit well next to DiVincenzo or Davion Mitchell, whomever's coming off the bench. I think he could excel in the role because that's back into where he really shined with OKC is that 6-man role, and I think he would be fine there.
That would be decent. I think it'd be a good veteran, maybe change the culture a little bit. I think it's definitely a good solid guard for them.
Yeah. I don't know how much of a culture changer he is, but I know
maybe like an Ennis Cantor. Maybe you bring him and Ennis Cantor in.
Ennis, yeah. Freedom. Ennis Freedom.
Maybe another guy I had just thought of. Who was it? What would you think if they just went all out there? Like, all right, you know what? We need a third star-like player. Mitchell isn't there yet. We want to upgrade. We'll trade what it gets or, takes to get Colin Sexton.
Yeah, so I was considering that. I was looking at it. I was like, you know what? I'm like, I don't think, because he's very much the same player archetype as De'Aaron Fox, and he has the same issues as De'Aaron Fox.
They're similar, but I think like Fox is different enough. I think Halliburton would have made way more sense next to Sexton, but can't change the past.
I don't think he'd be the best fit. I'm not convinced he would help them win now. I'm not that he's not a good player. This Kings team probably not suited for what they need out of him.
Yeah. Maybe, what do you think? Spend more assets on a 3 or just stick with what you got and hope that some of these guys are going to figure it out?
I think defense and shooting. I mean, that's like every team could use defense and shooting, but I think if you get a guy like Covington and then you pull in like a Jeremy Lamb, I think that's certainly going to help out. You definitely need people shooting around Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, who's not the best shooter. If Davion can hit his threes, I think he can get that second spot. Or DiVincenzo. They're both like kind of virtually very close to the same player. One of them has to eventually start hitting their threes efficiently, and then they'll fit in the rotation better. But I think a consistent shooter, very much like the archetype of Seth Curry, but obviously not Seth Curry, but like a guy like Jeremy Lamb, or I don't know how many shooters also in this.
Jeremy Lamb.
But I think they're going to have a really busy offseason. I'm super curious who they could get for Rashad Holmes. Maybe they can, $11 million, that's enough if they add it. Maybe they could get another star that maybe like wants to leave or something, like put together Barnes and Rashad Holmes, see what you get.
A bunch of picks.
A bunch of picks.
Whatever picks you got to do.
Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal, anyone? Bradley Beal. Yeah, I don't think he wants to go to the Kings.
I think Bradley Beal's going to give it another year. He's like, all right, you got me, Kristaps. We'll see what happens here. And then he's going to give it another year, and then another year, and then
another year after that. Then eventually he's going to retire. It's going to get to a point eventually where Washington's like, well, no, we don't want you anymore. And he's like, wait, what?
And he's going to be like 37. He's like, all right, now who want me?
Like, no one.
No one. I'm just here to tell you guys, like and subscribe, and please do that. Also, comment below. Let us know what you guys thought about this video. If you want to roast us, roast us. If you want to compliment us, please, I need compliments.